Hello and welcome to the EU Casting Couch YouTube, or welcome back if you've already watched us for the previous Doomfist video. Today I'm going to be talking about Doomfist and his 1 versus 1 interactions with other heroes. I think, as most people know by now, Doomfist probably works best in a 6v6 environment with full teams, but he does have some interesting character interactions with the other DPS. Generally though, he is taken out fairly easily, but I'm going to be going over all of the character interactions today, and hopefully you'll get something out of this that will help you play him better in the future and know who to avoid. I will also be doing videos in the future for the defense heroes, the tanks, and the healers in Overwatch. But let's get started. So, the first hero that Doomfist will be going against on the roster is Doomfist. Honestly, it's a fairly interesting 1 versus 1 interaction because Doomfist has a lot of counterplay with himself as compared to a lot of heroes because they do have the same range. Doomfist is a fairly medium range hero with his right click being able to move now 22 meters, not the case when these videos were recorded, and having a decent drop off on his shotgun blast before the damage goes away. So you can keep them at a range. Also with your shift and E combo, you can move about 30 meters, even now, maybe about 20 to 25, depending. But basically, you have a lot of engage range, and it honestly comes down to whether or not you can keep them at range from yourself and know just when to land your right click. Because if you can set them up for that right click into the wall, you can insta-kill them if you do the full damage. But basically, with Doomfist, honestly, with that interaction, I would recommend just kind of keeping them at range, plinking them down with the left click as much as you can before trying to set up some of your combos on the enemy. Because once you go in and you get some of those shields, like in from doing your, abilities on him, you can really go for it. You can try to set up that right click without having as much of a problem, because you can take a bit of damage before you really need to go back up and get away from him. It is a fairly even fight, obviously, because they're both the same character, but it really comes down to how well you use your abilities against him. He doesn't have enough range on you so that you have to really worry about him, but going into other heroes, you will see that starts to become the case. There's only a few other heroes that he has some even footing on. The rest, it's all about how you engage on them and how fast you bring them into your range and your speed for the fight. Otherwise, you're probably going to get wrecked, sadly. Okay, and on to the next character interaction. This is between Doomfist and Genji. Genji, honestly, a lot of people have been saying that Doomfist can wreck Genji, that Genji is not a counter to Doomfist, that like a lot of the dive characters will be wrecked by him, but in a 1v1 scenario, all of those rules are kind of thrown out. A lot of the pros are using him as a peel in 6v6 matches, so he can, go forward and dive into the enemy for attack, but come back and deal with divers and flankers that are on the healer. That is in a 6v6 environment. That works perfectly fine for that if a Genji or a Tracer or a Sombra is occupied with trying to burst down your healers, then they're not going to be paying attention to you nearly as much. But in a 1v1 scenario, you can't just be hopping up on them and hoping that you can get these kills. Honestly, a Genji that is worth his salts 9 times out of 10 shouldn't lose this fight, because the Genji can just stay away from you. They have a ranged attack. They have much more mobility than Doomfist, and that probably sounds odd to say because almost all of Doomfist's abilities have some sort of movement to them and engage power, but Doomfist's range basically for his movement is only in straight lines. He can only move straight with his right click, 22 meters. He can only move upward with his rising uppercut. He can only move straight wherever he's pointing for his E. He can't move anywhere outside of that unless he's just walking around, and his walking animation is actually fairly slow compared to a lot of other DPS characters. So, Doomfist has this, like, really powerful abilities and these kinds of things, but Genji, on the other hand, has his double jump, he has wall climbs so that he can get onto higher ground easily without using any of his abilities. Genji also has his swift strike with the shift to go through Doomfist in case of anything like that. He can also move onto high ground with his swift strike and other sorts of things like that. He has a lot more range of motion than you do, and you're just going to be chasing him around the map to try and engage on him, which is perfectly fine. It's kind of what you honestly need to be doing, because if you keep on letting it stay at range, the Genji is just going to kill you with his shurikens at range. That is all that Genji can do. You can punch through almost everything with his reflect. All of your abilities will still hit him with the reflect. You just can't shoot at him and plink at him at a semi-range, but you need to engage on the Genji, because the Genji can run away from you and kill you slowly at his leisure. But if you are fighting against him and you want to have the best possible effect, you need to engage on him with a right click, or you need to engage on him with an E at a distance so that you can pull him into your speed and hope that he doesn't run away and hope that he takes a challenge, because that is the only way that you are going to win this fight properly. Next on the DPS roster is McCree. This fight is an interesting one because there are a few different types of McCree playstyle, and depending on how they play it, you may or may not have equal footing with them. So basically, you will have a decent time fighting against a McCree that works in close range, because some McCrees like to play, closer to their enemies, use their, flashbang and unloading in you with the right click to just try and finish you off. And if they go for that, then you have a chance. You definitely have a chance to move in on them, engage with the right click from semi-range, and just end the fight really fast. But if they don't, and if the McCree can aim at range, then you're going to have many, many problems, because McCree, if they are accurate with their shot, can kill you from across the map without you being able to do anything to them, because your drop off on your left click is much, much further away than his. So, honestly, this is a bad fight for you. Almost every hit scan in this game is an extremely bad fight for you as Doomfist. If you're playing as McCree against a Doomfist, play against them at range. Make sure that you have at least a 25 meter range between you and them. You might get your bullet drop-off damage at that range, and you may do less, but honestly, even if you just keep on hitting body shots and keep on backpedaling away from them, you're going to have a pretty good opportunity of winning, whereas the Doomfist is most likely going to lose. They're going to try and engage on you with their shift and E, and move across the map, also with the right click, but if they wish the right click before they get into range with you, even though it takes 4 seconds for that cooldown to go down, it takes another 4 seconds to fully charge it up and insta-kill you. So you have a pretty good opportunity. If you are McCree and they are in close range, try to get your flashbang off, and don't go for the headshot, just right click and get the kill. Just do that. It's so much simpler. If you're Doomfist, you need to engage on them before they can do damage to you. You need to be hitting as many abilities on them as you can, chain them in interesting ways, do whatever. Just do anything that you can to keep yourself alive and in the game until your teammates get back, or until you try and win the fight or die trying. Next up is the annoyance that rains justice from above. Pharah. This is a fight that you're never going to win. Ever. People say that Junkrat is a bad counter to Pharah. Doomfist is worse. Junkrat can at least kill a Pharah with 2 well-placed shots. Doomfist can't at all. There's no way that he can kill her. If she is keeping proper far range in the sky and is not messing around on the ground or near the ground, you are never going to hit her. Like, the only point that I could think that you could maybe do it is on point B of Hanamura. If you are on the high ground and the Pharah is floating above the point, you could maybe hit her with the right click. That's it. Your rising uppercut won't even hit her because the active frames for your rising uppercut is right in front of where you're standing. When he is thrust up into the air, he ceases to do damage. So you can't even uppercut into her if she's right above you. You just can't do anything. Like, your left click doesn't have the range to do damage if the Pharah is being smart and staying away. So this is a fight that you're never going to win. If you're a Pharah player and you see a Doomfist, just keep high up and do what you would do with Junkrat, and you will win. That's about it. This one's fairly simple. Next up is the first member of Talon other than Doomfist that we will encounter in this series of videos, Reaper. This fight is actually fairly even for the two of them because they're both very close range heroes. They also both have... It's not exactly a lifesteal mechanic for Doomfist, but Doomfist gets shields from doing damage with his abilities, and Reaper has a lifesteal now for doing damage against his enemies. Honestly, this comes down to how you play it, because if you are aggressive with Doomfist and you're landing your abilities and you can try and set up a right click, then you can win the fight very easy. But if it does end up becoming a more long drawn out process, then Reaper does kind of gain the advantage over you over time, because he does gain life back when he does damage to you. You only get a temporary shield, so if you ever have to run from the fight, then the Reaper has the upper hand because he is just gaining health back and yours slowly dwindles away. But basically, this comes down to timing on abilities. With Reaper, playing against a Doomfist, you really want to be conservative with your Wraith form. You want to be able to use it when you know that a right click is coming at you. That way you can dodge it. That way you can set up damage for the enemy Doomfist when they run into that wall or when they get to the area behind you, that you can just unload on them. With Doomfist, if the enemy Reaper uses the Wraith form too early, does not predict your punch properly, you can very easily predict when they're going to come out of Wraith form and get a fully charged shot off on them, and at least do the 100 damage for your 4-second charge punch, but potentially insta-kill them with that right click. Honestly, this comes down to how you play the foot battle, how you plank with your left click on Doomfist, how the Reaper plays in range, and how comfortable they are fighting against other close range heroes. So this comes down to your ability to predict the enemy and how you try to counter their ability set more than anything. This is just like knowing your character, knowing the enemy character, and if you fought the person before, kind of knowing their habits. But that's about it. This is the only fight in the DPS section where you're actually kind of on level playing ground. So, yeah, take Reaper on. If you see Reaper, you can take him on by himself, but I would recommend, honestly, for most fights, just waiting for your team to at least be around so that you can get some distractions going into these. The next character up for interaction is the ever normal, ever regular FPS Soldier 76. So he is an extremely strong counter to Doomfist. I know in the most recent Your Overwatch video, they kind of, well, not the most recent, but the Learn How to Play Like a Pro Your Overwatch video, they talked about how, Doomfist isn't always countered by Soldier, and honestly, it's not that they, had a wrong point. You can kill Soldier very easily in close range, but the way that they presented it is misleading. So, Soldier is an extremely good counter to Doomfist, because Doomfist struggles with dealing with hit scan DPS at range. He struggles with dealing with any DPS that has range, basically, and Soldier is the most stock and standard range DPS character in the game. He is very easy to aim with, he is very easy to do damage with, there isn't very much bullet drop-off, if any. I honestly don't remember off of the top of my head, with his bullets, and you can just plink across the map with Soldier on Doomfist. So there is lots of opportunity for you to just get the Doomfist dead before he even gets close to you. If you're playing as Doomfist and you can catch the Soldier by surprise, or engage on him very close, very fast, which is something that you can possibly do with Doomfist. He does have the largest engage range in the entire game, pretty much at this point. You will be able to do lots of damage to him, because Soldier isn't very good at close range. The rocket is his biggest form of burst damage in that range, and if you are in your comfortable space with Doomfist, he's going to be doing damage to himself too with the splash. So if you can get up close to the Soldier, then you will have a good time. But in a one-on-one interaction against Soldier, he's going to know where you're coming from. He's going to be able to hear you. He's going to be able to do everything. You can go in and kill a Soldier in a 6v6 just fine if he's distracted by like a Pharah or by anything else. But in a 1 versus 1 scenario, he wins 9 times out of 10, unless you can really get in there very fast and land all of your hits. So, the next hero up on the chopping block is another member of Talon, Sombra, who is an intensely good counter for Doomfist, honestly. Like, I know there are videos out there that, again, Doomfist is super great against these dive characters, but it's only in 6v6 environments. In 1v1 scenarios, if you and a Sombra are caught by yourselves in a battle, or you're just 1v1ing in the arcade, or in 1v1 tournaments, or whatever like that, Doomfist is probably not your go-to pick for this, because Sombra has so many things in her kit that can mess with you as Doomfist. The hack gets rid of all of your abilities for about, 6 seconds or so, and that keeps you from doing anything that will get your shields back up, keep you in the fight against her. Her thermoptic camo has a pretty fast cooldown of about 6 seconds, makes her faster and can make her get way out of the way of your fight with her, and with Doomfist you don't really have enough spray to find her when she is invisible, and the translocator, which can throw her all across the map, has the same exact cooldown as your right-click punch. So she can honestly translocate out of the way anytime she even thinks that you're going to try and do that punch, because it takes you 4 seconds to charge that thing up, and it has a 4-second cooldown, just like your punch. So Sombra has tons of things that she can do to you. She has a pretty decent damage weapon for you as well, because Doomfist is about the same size as Zarya. Doomfist, even though he is a DPS, is almost tank size, and her gun spread isn't that big that she can shoot at you from outside of your range, and her hack honestly has a 15-meter radius, and your punch can only do 22 meters now, so she can be fairly comfortably within your range to land that hack, even in a 1v1 scenario, and still take you out, because when that hack is on you, you are pretty much dead. And last but not least is the mascot for the game, Tracer. Again, she is a dive hero, and again, people have said that Doomfist is very good against her. And again, in a 6v6 environment, she is kind of counterable with Doomfist. Honestly, it comes down to a similar problem as Genji, in that Tracer has so much movement in all sorts of directions with her blink and with her rewind that it is very hard to even hit her with Doomfist, because she can move in any direction with the blink, and the E rewind will take her back wherever she was, a few seconds ago, so it's hard to really even hit her. And in a 1v1 scenario, any Tracer, again, that's worth their salt 9 times out of 10 will be able to kill you, and they'll just be able to stay out of range, just do some chip damage over time, and blink out of the way anytime they even think that an ability is coming their way. This is an extremely hard fight for you, and if you can engage on them properly, then you may be able to win, especially considering she's as squishy as she is, but it will be a hard fight, and if you win, you definitely have earned it. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and it was fairly informative for you. If you would like to see more videos of this kind, please leave a like and a comment and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be putting up another one in a few days for the other side of the DPSs in this game, defense heroes. And if you'd like to see that, I'm going to be posting it on the Overwatch University subreddit and the Overwatch subreddit. And if you'd like to get updates anytime we do anything, you can join our Discord server. We would love to have you. We're starting to do more events, like tournaments and things, and it's a fairly nice little community, and we hope you guys will join, or at least have had a nice time watching this video. I have been Wesley Energy Being, and I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day, everybody.